Let's talk about every horror movie I plan to watch for the 31 nights of Halloween. Finally made it. It is our favorite season. It is the best time of the year. I have curated a list of horror movies that I want to check out for the first time, as well as horror movies I want to revisit. I also have a list of 31 essential Halloween horror movies to watch, and I'll link that down below for you. I also did a 31 days of found footage horror movie recommendations, which I'll link down below for you as well. I even did a 31 nights of haunted house horror movies, which I can list down below for you as well. So this list is just a variety of movies I hope to get to in the month of October. So let's dive into it. First movie is Terrified, and this is from director Damien Rugna. You might recognize them as the team behind When Evil Lurks, which was one of the best horror movies of last year. I'm excited to revisit this one because it centers on paranormal investigators who are investigating some weird shit happening at this house and in the surrounding area. And there's just some really haunting imagery in this one, most notably one of a little boy who is sitting at a table and he's dead. He has died, and this group is trying to figure out why he's back. After watching When Evil Lurks last year and being blown away by how like fast-paced and chaotic and violent it was, I'm excited to revisit Terrified to see how it holds up. Next is The Innocents from 1961. I still haven't seen this one. This one is about a governess who is watching over two children who become convinced that the house is haunted and that the children are being possessed by the ghosts. This was done in The Haunting of Hill House Season 2, Haunting of Bly Manor. It's an essential haunted house movie, and I love haunted house movies, especially for the Halloween season, so I need to check this one out. Another haunted house movie I want to check out for the first time is Burnt Offerings. This is about a family who move into this beautiful house and strange things starts happening, and it seems that as soon as somebody gets hurt in the house kind of repairs itself. It's like feeding off of the bad stuff that's happening to them, which is so cool. Next we have Ghostwatch, which is a 1992 horror movie that's presented like a real-life BBC broadcast of this news station that is investigating a poltergeist activity at this home of this mother and two girls. It was aired on Halloween night. Everybody who was watching it thought it was real because it was broadcast with real broadcasters from BBC, and it just gets really terrifying. I love found footage mockumentary style horror like this that is presented like a real broadcast. It feels legit, like you are watching an actual news broadcast. I think that the news anchors are great. The people they have on site are really cool, and I love that it slowly builds up to the craziness of this haunting where you don't get it all immediately, and it's just, there's this like impending doom, this sense of dread throughout the whole thing, and then when it does lead up to the craziness, it is scary. Then I want to check out Late Night with the Devil, which is in a similar vein of Ghostwatch, and this is centered on a late night talk show host on Halloween and their broadcast that goes wrong. The vibe and aesthetics of this movie are just perfect. David Dastmalchian is fantastic as the host. You can see why he would be this host. He's so charming and charismatic, and the stuff that happens, again, it plays out slowly, like you're actually watching a full episode of this late night show, and when it does escalate to the craziness, it's just insane. Then I want to check out Haunted Ulster Live, which I don't know the exact date it comes out on, but it will be premiering on Screambox in October. This is very much like Ghostwatch and Late Night with the Devil. It is a live broadcast, a news station that is broadcasting a haunting at a house in Belfast. Say no more! I'm just like, I cannot get enough of this style of horror, so give it to me. Insert it into my veins. Inject it into my veins. I need it now. A similar fashion, we have WNUF Halloween Special. This one is very much playing on that nostalgic vibe of the Halloween season in our childhood. It's supposed to be presented as a real-life 1987 broadcast of a news special that took place on Halloween, and it's filled with Halloween commercials that feel very retro. Everybody's dressed in Halloween costumes, and I'm so excited. I have her sitting here right here because I just bought the Blu-ray. Moving on to some body horror, I want to watch Society for the first time. This is a 1989 horror movie that is about this family who are living in a rich community, and the son starts to suspect something's going on with the wealthy elite, and I think it gets really weird, really gross. I know one specific scene of it where a bunch of people are like melding together, and I've always avoided this because it just grosses me out. The idea of it grosses me out, and when I saw that scene I was disgusted. But I think it's time. I think it's time that I fully expose myself to this and just destroy my soul. It's gonna be the year of Society. The Haunting of Julia is another another haunted house style horror movie. This is about a mother, played by Mia Farrow, who tragically loses her daughter in one of the most traumatic openings ever. She chokes on something and dies, and they can't save her. Like, they're literally trying and they can't. It's horrifying. And then she is trying to rebuild her life, and she moves into this new house, and she starts experiencing strange activity, and she thinks it's her daughter trying to contact her. But then she realizes something bigger is going on in this house, and she starts to investigate, and it's a really unique mystery. And Mia Farrow's amazing. It has haunting imagery, it has a haunting ending, and I just love it. Then another first will be Thirst. This is about a priest who volunteers for an experimental procedure, and I believe he dies, and then when he comes back with bloodlust. Then we have A Tale of Two Sisters, which is one of the best. So this is about a young girl who's recently released from a psychiatric facility. She returns home to her sister, and to find that her father has a new woman in his life, their new stepmother, and she's a bitch, okay? She's evil. And you start to learn about their relationship and what happened to lead this girl to the mental institution. And it is so fucking scary and creepy. The dread in this movie, it just feels so eerie, and it leads to a crazy finale. They do a really good job at building out this mystery of what's going on. I also want to revisit Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark because it literally screams Halloween. This is based on the famous children's book series of the same name, and it is essentially following these kids on Halloween night who encounter this creepy situation and get cursed by this witch named Sarah. The stories in her book start to come out in real life to these characters. Like, this movie is scary and it has some really terrifying moments, and I feel like a lot of people forget about it, so I want to scream it from the rooftops any chance I get that this movie is good. It is perfect for fall and Halloween, so watch it. I'll be watching it. Then I want to revisit The Frighteners. This is a Peter Jackson movie about a man, played by Michael J. Fox, who has lost his wife tragically in a tragic accident, and this accident gives him these newfound abilities where he can see the dead. So he preys on people who are experiencing haunted house activity, and he brings in his ghost friends to, like, amp it up. Then murders start happening around the town, and he becomes a major suspect. It is just so fun, so incredible and ridiculous. It's got that Ghostbusters feel to it. And I would like to check out VHS Beyond, which is the latest installment in the VHS found footage series. I think this is the 6th or 7th movie in the franchise, and it features a bunch of different stories from a bunch of different directors, including Kate Siegel and Justin Long this time. And people just saw it at Fantastic Fest and they're raving about it. So I'm going to like it either way. I love this series. Usually there's some hits and misses in the movie, but overall, I think they're having a lot of fun with it, so I enjoy it. I think they're super entertaining. Then we have Fright Night, which is an iconic horror movie about a young boy who thinks that his neighbor is a vampire, and you know what? He is, okay? And then he has to figure out how to stop him because the vampire knows he knows. It's campy at times. It has some legitimately scary moments. I think Jerry Dandridge is such a good villain, such a good vampire. He's sexy, but also scary, and it's just great. It's just, and they bring in the monster TV show host to help save the day. It's just, I love all the elements of it. It's got the perfect recipe for a Halloween horror movie. Then I'd love to revisit Tales from the Hood, which is a 1996 horror anthology about a group of 3 guys who go to this funeral home and they meet this creepy guy who works there, and he tells them a bunch of different stories that are absolutely terrifying. I haven't watched this one since I was a little kid, so I'm excited to revisit it because I know it has a lot of stuff about race in there and just a lot of scary imagery, and I'm excited to see if it's still scary as fuck because it scared the shit out of me when I was little and too young to be watching it. I also want to watch A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I haven't seen this one. I believe it's a vampire story. It's the first Iranian Western vampire. In the Iranian ghost town Bad City, a place that reeks of death and loneliness, the townspeople are unaware they're being stalked by a lonesome vampire. A girl's gotta eat. A girl's gotta do what she's gotta do. Diabolique? Less diabolic? I don't fucking know. I think it's Diabolique. Don't come for me for how I pronounce things incorrectly, because no matter how many times you tell me how to pronounce it, or if I read how to pronounce it, I will automatically say it the incorrect way. My brain doesn't let me. So this is about 2 women who murder this man, and they're actually his mistress and his wife, and then they start experiencing strange things because his corpse disappears. I need to revisit more older horror and get learned on that. Then I want to revisit Paranormal Activity, which is an iconic, at this point, found footage horror movie about a couple who move into a home and they begin experiencing strange activity, paranormal activity, and the husband decides to start documenting it, and it gets crazy, and he learns that his wife, there's a deeper, darker history with her in this activity. It just has some really solid moments. I love that it was just so low budget and inventive, and what they were able to accomplish with so little. I love the confined apartment or house setting, and there's some scenes that really terrified me when I saw this movie in theaters. There's a scene where Katie gets dragged out of the bed that will haunt me until I die. Like, that moment sent chills through my entire body, and I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. That could happen. That could happen to any of us. We could just be dragged out of bed. Her screams. I'm excited to revisit it. Then I want to revisit The Toolbox Murders, which is a Tobe Hooper movie about a weird-ass apartment building with a bunch of weird-ass people in it, and there's a murderer on the loose. If you lived here, you would be dead by now. That's the tagline. I don't remember it being that good, but you know what? It's fun. Tobe Hooper just has fun, or he had fun with his stuff, and that's what I like. He goes ballsy and crazy. He's like, you know what? I don't care if you don't like it. I'm gonna do it how I want it to be. It's gonna be campy, it's gonna be ridiculous, it's gonna be fun. I want to revisit Don't Look Now, which is Donald Sutherland, R.I.P. classic. It's about a couple whose child dies and they're still grieving the loss of this child when the husband gets a job in Venice, and they move there and he starts seeing weird shit around Venice. And he thinks it's his daughter. Like, he starts seeing this person in a red jacket and he starts following her around. The wife also interacts with some creepy people, some witchy people who tell her some weird shit's gonna happen. It's weird, but it's beautiful. And I don't know how to describe my love for this movie. It's just so unsettling, so upsetting. And it leads to a really upsetting finale. And yes, there is an infamous sex scene in this movie that I find kind of beautiful, but a lot of people found it a little graphic. It's not that. I mean, to today's standards, it's tame. Then we have The People Under the Stairs, which is a Wes Craven horror movie about a young boy who basically gets locked inside this house that is occupied by two deranged individuals who I believe are brother and sister, but they act like husband and wife, and they have a daughter who they keep trapped in the house, and they have a bunch of fucking people in their basement that are like monsters, and they walk around through the walls, and it's creepy, it's weird, it's fun. Stephen King's Rose Red is a must every Halloween season. This is about a parapsychologist who invites a group of people with special abilities, psychic abilities, to Rose Red, which is an infamous mansion that is haunted. And she hopes that bringing them there will wake up the paranormal activity, the spirits, and the house will come alive. And it does. I love this movie so much. It is very cozy and atmospheric. The house itself is really cool because it changes and warps, and it really messes with the characters' minds. I like the characters themselves. I think there's some unique people in the cast, and what each of them can do is unique and different, which is really cool. And it's just good. It's just a nice little cozy ghost horror movie. Sinister is a horror movie that is apparently one of the scariest horror movies ever for people. Like, they've done tests and lists where that's like #1. It scares the shit out of people. This is about an author played by Ethan Hawke who moves his family into a home where a series of murders happened, but his wife and kid don't know because Ethan Hawke's character is just trying to make a buck. He's trying to make that next novel about this case, and he finds a box of movies, VHS tapes, that basically depict murders happening, and they're creepy as hell. Those tapes are terrifying. This one is just very unsettling and eerie. It has some really scary moments. Ethan Hawke is amazing, and Bagul is kind of cool. It does have a little cheesy moments with little children running up walls, but you know what? I can forgive it. I can forgive it because everything before that was amazing. Return of the Living Dead Part 2. A lot of people want to watch Part 1, which I understand, but I love Part 2. It's the one I watched the most as a little kid. It features a little kid as the lead character. So this is about a group of kids who discover this barrel filled with a corpse with toxins in it, and they open it like stupid ass kids, and it releases the toxins into their little town, and everybody starts turning into zombies. This one is campy, it's fun, I love the cast, I love this little suburban neighborhood that they're all in, and it's just ridiculous. And it also features the two guys from Part 1, and they're playing different characters, which is really cool. Body Snatchers from Abel Ferreira is another one that I love from the early 90s. This is essentially a retelling of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it's centered on a family who are living on a military base. People start getting their bodies invaded, and the family has to figure out how to survive. There's some really just memorable moments in this one. There's one in particular with where she's been invaded. She's fully snatched, and she's telling them, she's like, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna run? Where are you gonna hide? The way she delivers line, it has stuck with me like since my childhood, because it's so scary the way she delivers it and what she's saying, and you're like, holy shit, yeah, where are they gonna go? Everyone is a fucking alien. And that idea of having nowhere to run to, nowhere to turn, because the whole world is basically changed, it's scary. And I would love to revisit Village of the Damned, the John Carpenter version, which I don't think is that good, but you know what? Who cares? Because it is still giving me what I want, which is creepy kids, small town vibes. Kirstie Alley, that girl from the Disney Channel, is in it. They have creepy ass wigs that were terrible. It's about this town where all the women become pregnant at the same time. And then 9 months later, all the babies are born, but they're fucking weird because it's an alien or some shit. I don't know. I don't remember. Then I want to watch 13 Ghosts, which is another favorite from my childhood. This is about a family who inherits a house from an uncle they didn't know, and when they get there, they realize he's trapped 13 ghosts in the basement, and there's all these spells on the walls that keep the ghosts inside, and it's so ridiculous but so scary. This movie scared me when I was little. The ghosts in this movie are so cool. Each has their own backstory. Some of them are more violent and vicious. Session 9, it's about a group of asbestos cleaners who are in this asylum, and they start experiencing strange stuff. I think it starts messing with their minds and stuff. This is a really good psychological horror with a great cast, really cool atmosphere and setting, and it's just one of those movies that gets under your skin. The Exorcist III, I typically watch The Exorcist 1, but you know what, let's give the part 3 some love. This is about the cop from part 1 who is investigating a series of murders that are happening, right? I don't know, I haven't seen it in forever, so I just know there's an iconic jump scare moment in this. George C. Scott is a fucking amazing. I love him so much. And finally, I want to watch Saw. This one I just think of every Halloween because they used to come out with a new Saw movie every Halloween, and Saw 1 is just so damn good. It is a really good procedural, cop procedural movie about a serial killer, basically, who's got an interesting way of doing things. This serial killer is Jigsaw, and he puts people in traps and makes them basically do a test. He tests them to want to fight for their lives, basically. And it was just so cool and inventive. I thought Jigsaw was a really cool killer. Obviously, he's grown. This series has grown tremendously, and it has a really cool ending. One of the best endings of all time. And there you have it. Those are the 31 horror movies I plan to watch this Halloween season. Let me know what movies on this list you like most. If you plan on also checking them out, what movies you plan to watch this Halloween season. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have happy Halloween. Bye.